Are you wondering if induction stovetop is the right cooking method for you? One of the most important decisions that you'll have to make is deciding between gas, electric, or induction cooking. In this video, I'm going to go over one of my favorite portable induction stovetops, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's a heck of a value and the perfect introduction to induction cooking. Let's dive in. Okay, so let me give you guys some background. I am a gas stovetop cook all the way. I love having gas burners. It's just how I've been cooking all my life. And I think the majority of you guys out there are probably either gas or electric. I know there's a huge heated debate out there between gas, electric, and induction, and everybody has their preferences, right? It's usually between gas and induction because who uses electric these days? I'm just kidding. But yeah, the background is I'm a gas guy all the way, and I did buy an induction portable stovetop primarily as my outdoor stovetop for when I am cooking outdoors, or maybe if I'm barbecuing, or if I just feel like cooking because it's a beautiful day out and I don't want to make a mess or smoke up the house. So I figured an induction stovetop would be really easy to use. It's portable, plug it in, it's ready to go. And I've used induction stovetops before and I've liked them. I just prefer the gas burner because I love sauteing and flipping things. And with induction stovetops, the techniques are a little bit different, but we'll get to that in a second. If you guys do want me to make a video in the future, specifically comparing gas versus induction and the pros and cons of each and how to use each method, let me know in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to do that for you. With that being said, I ended up buying the Duxtop 1800 watts portable induction stovetop. And I felt like it was the perfect price versus quality ratio stovetop for the needs that I wanted. So I wasn't necessarily looking for a heavy duty professional grade, although Duxtop also makes a professional grade model. I was primarily looking for the most efficient, most budget friendly, but still an excellent induction stovetop. So with that being said, let's dive a little deeper. Okay, so first things first, what are induction stovetops? And specifically, what's induction? See, traditionally when we use our gas stovetops or even our electric stovetops, we're primarily using thermal conduction to cook our food by either using the flame from our gas stovetops to heat up the pan, or the electrical coils that heat up and transfer the heat to our pan to do the same thing, right? To cook the proteins and the foods that are in the pan. So instead of using thermal conduction, induction stovetops actually use oscillating magnetic fields, in return producing eddy currents to basically heat up your pan and cook your food. But this is all heat transfer. And in order for induction to work and to get those magnetic oscillating fields, the magnetic flux, and the eddy currents to do what they need to do, you need to have a magnetic pan, something that can take full effect of the oscillating magnetic fields. And that heat is being transferred to the pan by the materials, through those materials of the pan itself. So if your pan is magnetic, and you can easily test that out by grabbing a magnet, sticking it to the pan, then induction will work for you. And induction is almost instantaneous, and actually it's extremely efficient, more efficient than gas or electric, and you have very little waste as long as you have really good contact between the induction stovetop and your pan. So in other words, your pan should be relatively flat. The specific model that I have, and I'll make sure to link it below with an Amazon affiliate link so you guys can purchase it if you're interested, is the 1800 watt portable model. It's probably an older model. I bought it 3 years ago, so it's definitely reliable. It still works really good till this day, but I think it's an excellent, dependable and efficient, great introduction to induction stovetops. Probably one of the best induction stovetops out there right now, even though it's an older model. And at the time when I bought it 3 years ago, I believe I paid 55 bucks for it. Nowadays it's going for around $75, which is still a pretty good price, especially with everything that's going on with COVID and the supply chain issues and inflation. I think 75 bucks is pretty reasonable. You can find them for a lot cheaper occasionally on sales or Black Friday, or sometimes even the manufacturer will have a coupon. So if you can't afford it right now at 75 bucks, keep your eye on it. I'm sure it's gonna drop $10, maybe even $20. Okay, so let's talk build and features. The build quality of the stovetop is pretty good. It's mainly plastic. Like I said, this is not their heavy duty industrial grade one. This is just their basic, home use for the average cook. You're not gonna find a lot of metal on this, but I think it's okay as long as you realize what it's intended for. The other thing that I've already mentioned is I've had it for 3 years and I've never had any issues with it. I plug it in every time and it works. So I can definitely attest to the reliability of this machine. Now, I don't know if anything has changed in the manufacturing process since I bought it. I don't think so. Based on the Amazon reviews, I think it's still a really, really solid product. Some of the features that you'll find on it is, for example, it does have a built-in timer. So if you're cooking something where the recipe specifically calls for, a certain time or a time limit, you can digitally put in a timer and, cook your food that way. Some of the other features that you'll find is it has 2 thermal settings or thermal gauge settings. With the press of a button, you can actually switch between a numerical level value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. Or you can go to a thermal value, like actually seeing in Fahrenheit what degrees your settings are in. So for example, I can set the stovetop to level 5, or I can hit the button, switch it over, and see the degrees that I'm in. So I can cook at 350 degrees, 400 degrees. I think this goes all the way up to 460 degrees, which is perfect because sunflower seed oil, for example, has a smoke point at 450 degrees. So if you're cooking at 460 degrees, that's the perfect temperature right there. And then lastly, one of the features that it has is an automatic shutoff thing. And when I first bought this thing, I thought it was broken, but it makes sense. When you press the button, if you don't have a magnetic pan on top or a magnetic cookware on top, and the machine recognizes that it's not going to be able to do the induction method, it will throw an error. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a non-magnetic pan on there or no pan at all, it still flashes the error telling you something's wrong. Initially, when I first bought it, I was expecting to just turn it on and have like a standby mode. And then, when you put the pan on, it starts up. Okay, now let's talk about the pros and cons. Well, the first pro, really it's a pro of induction cooking in general, is you're gonna cook really, really fast. This thing will get your pan extremely hot very, very quickly. So for the B-roll portion of this video, I decided to do a stir fry using my carbon steel wok. And as you guys know, woks get extremely hot really, really quick. So it didn't take long at all to preheat my carbon steel wok. And actually, I was really surprised at how fast it started smoking. So what does that mean exactly? Well, it means you're actually gonna be cooking much faster. If you don't believe me, try boiling some water on a gas stovetop and then boil some water on an induction stovetop. The induction stovetop will be a lot quicker. It's just the efficiency of things. If you have really good contact between the pan and the induction stovetop, you're gonna have really good efficiency, which translate in a lot of thermal transfer and very little heat loss. So things are gonna cook a lot faster. Another big pro that this portable stovetop has for it is it's incredibly reliable. I use my common sense. I don't leave this thing out in the rain or, dunk it in water or try to clean the whole thing in a dishwasher or something. I mean, obviously no one would do that, but for the 3 years that I've had it and I have taken care of it, it's held up amazingly. It cleans up really easily. I just wipe the surface down. I've never had any issues with it not turning on or not reacting to the settings, quick enough or anything like that. And I've always felt like it stayed really nice and flat. I've never had any issues with warping or the plastic or anything like that cracking or being damaged. So I feel like it's really well built for the average home cook, and it's extremely reliable and dependable. So that's a big, big pro. Now, specifically, another pro for me is it's been a great addition to my kitchen. It's this perfect outdoor stovetop for me. Sometimes if I'm cooking something on the barbecue and I want to saute something on the side because I don't have room on the barbecue anymore, then the stovetop's perfect. I take it out there and I'll saute some things. Now, another big thing that I use it for is when I'm cooking salsa and I have to sear the jalapeno peppers or the serranos or even the ghost peppers. For those of you that cook salsa, you'll know that when you do that, especially indoors, you're gonna pretty much make everybody cry inside your house because you're gonna get a cough attack as those peppers and chilies are cooking and searing and getting sauteed. They release their toxic gases and everyone starts choking inside the house. So rather than put everyone through that and put the fans on full blast and open up all the windows, I just grab my portable induction stovetop, go outside and make my salsa there. And trust me, my family thanks me for it every single time. So it's great for that. It's great for anytime you want to cook outside. It's like the perfect thing. So for me, it's been a great addition to all of my cooking techniques. One more pro that I want to mention, this is kind of like a pro, but can be a con, and sort of a caveat at the end of it. Since it is an induction stovetop, you can never really burn yourself. Now, again, remember, there's a caveat. If you never had a hot pan on the cooking surface, in other words, you didn't just get done cooking something, the stovetop will be cold to the touch because it's not going to be using the magnetic fields to burn you. So in other words, you can't touch the stovetop and really hurt yourself as long as you haven't had something hot on there to begin with. So if you have kids at home and you're worried about them touching the stovetop or whatever, if the thing's on, it's relatively safe. Now here's the caveat. If you just got done cooking something, if you think about it, the induction stovetop just got your pan really, really, really hot. That really hot pan is making full contact with your induction stovetop. So your pan is transferring a lot of heat to the surface of the stovetop. And I guarantee you, if you just got done cooking like I did with the wok, as soon as you take your cookware off, touch the induction stovetop, you will burn yourself. There's a clear warning on the product for a reason. So just keep that in mind. There's like a myth out there that, hey, induction stovetops are really safe and you can touch them and you won't get hurt. That's true, as long as you didn't have something really hot on there prior. So what I'm trying to say is, you still gotta watch your kids. But yes, theoretically speaking, if you had this thing on, you touched it, nothing would happen. And with that being said, another pro is it also cools down relatively quick as well. And what I mean by that is the surface of the stovetop cools down relatively quick. If you take the pan off, the source of heat, the hot pan, and put it off to the side, I would say that the stovetop gets relatively cool to the touch. Usually for me, I like to put it back in the box and store it away. So I give it around like a minute and a half or 2 minutes and it's good to go. I can put it back in the box and it's safe to handle. I don't think that's necessarily true with an electric stovetop or a gas stovetop. Okay, now let's talk about some of the cons. The first potential con is you need to make sure that you have magnetic cookware that will work on an induction stovetop. So if you haven't already, go watch my video where I compare a cast iron, carbon steel, or stainless steel pan. And I tell you guys why I think those three pans are the most professional cookware that you can have in your kitchen. Well, another big plus of those pans are they all work on gas, electric, or induction stovetops. In other words, they're all magnetic. But that can be a con. If you have your favorite pan out there that you really like to use, but you take a magnet to it and the magnet doesn't stick, unfortunately, it's not going to work on your induction stovetop. Now, another con is your pan has to be relatively flat. If you have a cheap pan that's warped on you over the years, you're not going to get the most out of this stovetop. It's not going to be the most efficient and it's not going to perform as well as it would on another pan that has full contact. That's something else you have to kind of keep in mind. You want to kind of test your pan out on a flat surface and make sure it doesn't have a lot of wobble or it's not spinning on you. That's usually a bad sign before you buy an induction stovetop. So highly recommend that you kind of do a magnetic test and a flat test before purchasing this stovetop or any induction stovetop for that matter. You might be better off using gas. And that's why I kind of like gas, because gas takes everything, right? It doesn't care whether it's flat or not flat or whatever. The flames are always going to be there to heat up the pan. So that actually brings me to another con. My cooking technique is I like to move a lot. I like to move the pans. I like to saute. I like to flip things in the pan. And because you don't have contact with the induction top at all times, you can lose some efficiency and you may need to adjust your cooking techniques a bit. Now, it's not an absolute deal breaker, but I am going to put it under con because I like to saute things. And yes, if you don't have contact on the cooking surface at all times, you aren't necessarily heating up the pan. But that could also be a pro, because if you do want to kind of lower the temperature on things or slow down a bit, you can just lift the pan up, saute, flip some things, put it back down, and good to go. So it's really technique. If you know how to use an induction stovetop, or if you're comfortable using an induction stovetop, chances are over the years, you've developed your own techniques to cook food on. So it's just like anything else. You just got to get used to it. Another con is, and I wanted to put this under con and pro, is you can still burn yourself on an induction stovetop. The myths and the rumors going around saying that an induction stovetop won't burn you is not 100% accurate. I had to put that under con and pro, just to be absolutely clear. And then another con to this whole thing is, specifically with this particular model, it's not the commercial grade model, so it is made out of plastic, and theoretically it can crack, it can become brittle over the years, although mine hasn't over the last 3 years. But something that I've always worried about in the back of my mind is shattering it with something too heavy. So, you know, if I have a really heavy pan, really heavy cast iron, and if I slammed it a little bit too hard when I was sauteing something, or if I had a big pot that I put on there, I was always really afraid that I was gonna shatter, crush, or break the stovetop. That's something that I've kind of gotten over the last 3 years or so, because it has withstanded everything that I put and thrown at it. I know that the commercial one is rated at like 65 pounds or something, which is crazy. That's insane. With this particular home cook model, I can tell you that with my Lodge cast iron skillets and my carbon steel pans, you know, the Matford and the DeBuyer, anything I throw at it, it's fine. It has not damaged the stovetop at all. Now, one of the biggest cons that I have to mention is this thing is not waterproof in any way, shape, or form. Actually, if you flip it over and you take a look at the fan, you will actually see the electric circuit board right there underneath the fan port. So be extremely careful with water. You don't want any water getting in there. You don't want to get electrocuted in any way, shape, or form. When you put this thing on top of your countertop, make sure the countertop is dry and you are away from water. Okay, now let's talk about the B-roll. So for the B-roll, I decided to use my carbon steel wok, which I felt like was the perfect cookware to use on this induction stovetop. My wok specifically is a flat bottom wok, and it's carbon steel. I've had this thing for a long time. If you haven't already, go check out my original review on the Helen Chin flat bottom wok and my 6-month update. I think it's an amazing wok for the value, and you can catch them on Amazon, usually for 40 bucks, sometimes for even cheaper at 30 bucks. So if you're looking for a carbon steel wok, that's the wok to get. But the reason why I wanted to do a stir fry and use my wok for this video is because woks get hot really quick, really fast anyways. And I felt like with the induction stovetop, I can show you guys just how hot it actually gets and how easy you can adjust the settings and dial in the temperatures. So for this video, I made a beef broccoli and cashew nuts. Added some peppers, added some garlic, added some broccoli, and made an amazing meal. So with wok cooking, actually anytime you're cooking, you should always prep your food. Prep what you're trying to do ahead of time. Anytime you go to a kitchen, anytime you go to a restaurant, there's preps. They're prepping the food ahead of time. They're prepping the vegetables. They're cutting things up. They're making the rice. And you have everything that you need, all your ingredients ready to go. When you're cooking on a wok especially, things are moving very quickly, so you want to make sure your ingredients are ready. So I put the carbon steel wok on there. I set the heat setting on the induction stovetop all the way at 460 degrees, and you can see right away that the wok was smoking. So then I added my sunflower seed oil, which had a smoking point of 450 degrees, so that smoked almost instantly, and then I began searing my meat. It goes without saying, the induction stovetop worked beautifully, and the meal was delicious. So I hope you guys enjoy the B-roll. final thoughts. Well, induction cooking is definitely my second favorite method. I really do enjoy induction stovetops. They're a lot of fun to use. I love the efficiency. I love the science behind them and what's going on in the background. I'm a geek. The science behind it just geeks me out. So I really enjoy everything that's going on in the background. I really love how efficient things are, how much control you have over everything, because literally when you dial in those temperatures, it's instantaneous. And this is actually why I am highly recommending this portable stovetop, because it's a great introduction to induction stovetops, and it will really give you guys a feel for what to expect in the future. Ideally for me though, my dream stovetop would be a gas stovetop with some really good quality burners and a really large burner for searing, and an induction top right there. I've seen those and they're pretty pricey, and I think for me as a cook, those are the two methods that I really like. And gas and induction stovetops are where it's at. If you have an electric stovetop, what is wrong with you? I mean, get rid of that. Who uses electric anyways? I feel really bad for you. I'm just playing. That's it for me, guys. Hope you found this video informative. Check out some of my other content, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Hey everybody, how'd you guys like that last video? Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified on my next video. And if you can, please share with your family and friends. I would really appreciate it. Here's some more content that I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. Check them out. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.